Hello, YouTube. I'm live again. It's been a while, a long while. I don't know if I'm too loud or if I'm having any sound problems. So, um, I hope I'm not. I don't know if anyone will show up today. Um, I just went live on the spur of the moment. Um, so I don't quite know. If someone shows up, that's good. Um, but yeah. Currently, I don't know what I should be doing. It's not like I have many friends that will be able to show up um, when I'm doing things, and it's a bit difficult for me to be streaming again. I think that's because I don't really like streaming, but it's not like I have anything better to do today. I do have a manga I want to read, but at this point, I've been reading through so many manga now that I'm running out. And I'd rather not run out, so that's why I'm putting it off for a little while longer. But it's whatever. Whatever. Sad. Um, I wonder if Wiley will show up. Let's see. I could try to contact him, but it's not like I have anyone who will show up guaranteed. I could try to contact Praise. That's what I think I should do. Since I don't talk to him anymore, I think I should just invite him over if he's on. I don't know how inviting him over will work. Um, I'm just gonna tell him that I'm okay. I don't even think inviting him over. If he wants to show up, he can, but I don't think I. Honestly, I don't think I need to invite him over. Honestly, no. That's opening a can of worms. Even just going to his channel and leaving a comment would just open a can of worms. Unfortunately, hmm, I wonder if that's Wiley. Or someone else. Ooh, bubbles. Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. Interesting, interesting. Interesting. That's interesting. I wonder if someone's going to show up backstage. And if so, who? That's a question. All right. I'm just not in the best of moods today, but I don't know who will show up. I wonder. Yeah, I guess using the name Heretic is not going to get me much people to show up, actually. I should probably change that because that's a bit of a joke. Ben Adam. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. I don't know if anyone will show up. Yeah, that's not good. My connection is not good. That's bad. Very bad. Very, very bad. No good. It's really not good. I know who I can invite. That's who I'll invite. Even though I'm not a very big fan of dealing with this, with Islam often, I think I could ask him at least, to see what he says. So that's what I'll do. But I really don't know if I should. Yeah, this is really not my cup of tea. Oh, and I also wanted to make some comments about my what research I've been doing lately concerning the Prophet Muhammad. Um, but it's a bit odd. The more I dig into information on the Prophet Muhammad, I realize um, it's more complicated than what I or most people would want to accept. And it's sad because complicated things are annoying to most. In fact, even I am somewhat bugged by it. Oh, Mr. Lizard, welcome back. Well, I guess I might have someone who can join again, finally. I've been bored out my mind. So so are you gonna be able to join the voice chat today, or what's going on? Because I don't even know. There was one person I wanted to invite, but then I was like, it's not really worth it. So I'm just here alone right now, waiting for somebody to hop in. Unfortunately, I now believe in Muhammad, just not the Muhammad of modern Islam, different Muhammad. And yes, they the people I've been dealing with fully got me on board with this whole crazy idea. Ay, ay, ay. It's crazy. Hello.
Hello. It's all gotten worse. It gotten worse. Everything's gone downhill.
Why?
All of this community's killing itself.
Ah, well, guess what? If the Christian community isn't working for you, you can try joining the Muslim community.
No, I mean the particularly praised, those people.
Okay.
Smocky.
Well, do you know who the original Muhammad was, by any chance?
The Dilophosaurus that I killed.
No, the original Muhammad in the 7th century at least. It was an epithet for Jesus Christ. Uh-oh.
I thought it was
Muslims
a
don't want
camel
you
I
to know
killed.
that. Muslims don't want you to know who the real Muhammad is
Ah,
because it destroys modern Islam.
and Kirby. I don't even know anymore. I got
Yeah,
loopy.
Islam is so
Even more
corrupted,
loopy
it's
than
not
before.
even funny. It's a joke. Modern Islam is a big joke with how poorly their tradition was preserved. The true tradition of Islam has been lost and is only now being recovered due to scholarship, piecing together the truth. Which is sad because for a entire religious tradition to be corrupted on this scale is scary. It's
Isn't
a
that right,
scary
Mr.
idea.
Dilophosaurus? Is it scary? Mr. Dilophosaurus says yes, it's scary. I'm sorry, I'm Gundam.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, I've also been
Oh,
having weird visions, so I'm
and
being troubled.
oh yeah. Oh, and for me, I would say apparently to one, I am not a Christian. Another, I'm a heretic, which technically means I'm not Christian. Another one, I'm a heretic, and to others, I'm an enemy.
Ah, so you're a Satan then?
Basically,
Well, the devil would call God Satan, so
yeah,
it only means enemy or adversary.
that's ironic. We're talking about that. I see you either privated or deleted all your streams.
I did delete them all.
Ah, you Dano snapped them.
Yeah, I deleted them all when I finally got back to YouTube. I was like, oh yeah, I have to get rid of these.
Maybe Tog might
Because
appear.
I left only 2 videos on my channel. 2.
I see.
And both are prayers.
Frickin'
That's the big joke.
baboons. For apparently the Catholic. Oh yeah, something I just learned today. Apparently the Catholics acknowledged the whole Sophia wisdom ding.
There's been a lot of developments with the Catholic Church lately that are both interesting and yet troubling.
Yeah, and an idea of speaking ex cathedra and cathedra.
What's even more troubling than the Catholic Church, though, is what's going on behind the scenes.
As long as there's a group that hunts monsters, I'm okay.
Well, actually, there have been people prophesying of the coming of the 4 horsemen. Although some people are claiming the coming of the 5 horsemen of the apocalypse, the 5th one being named, in Greek at least, he is called Hades, but in Hebrew, apparently he's being the name isn't even a Hebrew name, mind you, which is a problem, but they're referring to him as Ereshkigal.
Yeah. Utica be Sheol.
Which is actually a goddess, not
Or
a
at
god.
least a bad
But
one.
then other people are calling him Nergal, interestingly enough. Some think that he might be Moloch. There are a few other names given to this 5th rider. I've been trying to figure out who exactly he is myself.
Speaking of nutty dinks, I'm curious. Do you think that the locusts could be sphinxes, or at least something like a manticore?
A manticore, maybe.
As
Are
people
you
pointed
trying to
out with
give
this.
away that they're not helicopters? Why are you trying to expose the fact they're not really helicopters?
No, don't worry. They can sexually identify as an attack helicopter.
No, I meant it's better for the church for everyone to think those are just helicopters.
Well, too bad the church many people in the church were already catching on to it. That's why I was asking.
I meant the Catholic Church. You genius.
Well, I'm pretty sure I could find one. I just need to dig deep enough. I will find their doctrine. I've been looking too much into their doctrine recently. I realized they never officially condemn universal salvation.
In fact, the Catholic Church, in its current position, is considering opening the floodgates and allowing people of other religions to be considered saved at this point.
I think that goes against the catechism,
It
let
does.
alone the dogma, which technically they're not allowed to do.
Well, the current Pope has other plans in store.
Well, then again, there is that thing where people denounce him as speaking ex cathedra.
I know.
They're
But
not allowed to do that.
actually,
Speaking.
there's something interesting going on that I've started figuring out. It is technically possible to be saved from death and yet not enter heaven. It is possible.
Ow, stop it, you. Stop it. Sorry. Who's biting me?
It's actually possible to be those who are saved from hell but aren't but don't enter into God's kingdom for whatever reason end up in the outer darkness.
The outer darkness. Exact same place
Yeah.
as the lake of fire.
It's a place worse than hell.
Not to mention a place that you cannot be separate from God.
So you're
There's the
better off.
acknowledgement. Something
Honestly,
people
I think
forget is
if
the presence
you're
of the
going
Lord.
to
I mean,
be
Christ.
the dumb, if you're going to be dumb, you're better off in hell than the empty darkness. Technically.
Well, then again, which hell?
I mean, should I call it Tartarus, or would you prefer Gehenna, or?
Well, there is the lake of fire, Gehenna, Abyss, or Tartarus,
Yeah, you
and
get
then
my
Sheol.
point. Wherever the people get destroyed, that place.
Destroyed? Well, technically, they're not destroyed. I mean, the one that's destroyed is Gehenna.
They are destroyed and then they're recreated by the fire. They are destroyed because that's the only way purification works. You destroy the impurities. So technically, to some degree, they are destroyed.
You know, when we had talked, we're talking about the whole, philosophy thing. We're actually questioning if the only thing that, if within regards to like a universal salvation thing, if the only thing that would truly be, in a sense, annihilated would actually be the evil itself, like the abstracta being destroyed.
Yep. But I can't wait to see a war appear in heaven. That will be amazing. I better get my popcorn ready.
Question: could the Leviathan kill people? I mean, not kill people. Kill angels?
Could the Leviathan kill angels? In theory, the Leviathan has been, well, it's not even theory really. There are records of the Leviathan fighting against angels and destroying them. It's not killing, because
Yeah, destroying.
the angels, when they die, they cease to be.
Technically, they died. Wait, could they become a spirit?
They are technically already spiritual beings, so no.
Well, spiritual, but also, the whole eating things, only flesh eats things, yada yada yada.
Actually, that's not entirely true. Because the thing people are misunderstanding is they see the spirit as being entirely spirit and not physical, when in fact the spirit is a metaphysical thing. It's beyond physicality but can take on the attributes of physicality at times. For example, how do you think ghosts are able to move objects? Or demons, for that matter. How can they move physical objects?
Because I was the one who rigged the place to set up like that so that all the objects move and look like they're being moved by something else.
No, I mean, how do the spirits actually move objects? Do you know? Okay. Let's see who this person is.
Hey, you fucking assholes.
Hello.
What are you talking about?
Okay, goodbye.
I don't get
I
it.
I don't know who that is, but what I do know is the goodbye. Kick. I don't like people making bad jokes. At least we weren't flashed this time. At least.
Flush away.
Yeah. I need to be more careful who I let on. Right?
And yeah, maybe.
They had an Arabic name, so I was like, maybe someone wants to talk about Islam. But no.
Well, then there's what's it called? They're always asking because it talked about the angels running and hiding from it, which also Hebrew, it's gods, and what's it called? In the whole Greek, it's angels, which is probably a
Well,
reference with the Hebrew. It's probably a reference to Baal and Marduk and others like that.
in fact, the god Leviathan has been known to kill gods before. Back when he was still called Lotan.
Netano,
Lotan
Netanu.
is his name in Canaanite
There's
and
also a way to
Ugaritic.
call it. Latanu is apparently another way to say it. Curse you, ancient Near East scholars! Just kidding. I love them.
Well, at least it isn't Jormungandr. At least we're not dealing with him.
Chaos Water Dragon of Doom.
He's not a dragon. He's a snake. He's a bloody
Dragon?
snake. Not a dragon.
Fire breathing snake.
He doesn't breathe fire, you dummy.
With several. Actually, he does. And then several
No, he's
heads.
a poisonous snake. He's a poisonous snake.
He has multiple heads. He lives in the water. He breathes fire.
No,
He has smoke coming out of his
Jormungandr has
nostrils.
one head.
Oh,
Jormungandr.
you got me confused. I thought you were talking about Lotan.
I said at least he isn't Jormungandr.
Yeah, and then I started talking about the description of Leviathan.
Why are we talking about Leviathan? Why can't we stick to Lotan, who has just 5 heads? Nice 5 heads.
I just said several heads. I didn't say 5 heads. I just said several heads.
Yeah. In the Hebrew text, isn't it 7 heads? But in the Canaanite text,
never
it's
numbers.
5.
It actually never numbers it.
Oh, it doesn't, huh? Interesting.
There's it's only a conflation between 2 separate beings, Leviathan and someone else.
Oh,
That
you
someone
mean
else being
the beast?
Belial.
The beast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's also the beast.
Yeah, which beast? The first one or the second one?
I don't remember. Actually, then that makes 3. You have the beast, then you have Belial, and then you have Leviathan, all having multiple heads. However, the other 2 are actually numbered.
The first beast and the second beast. Then you have the dragon. And then you have
dragon, Belial.
And then you have Lotan.
Yeah, Lotan's actually never given a number. It's just established that it actually has multiple heads. The heads of
Well,
Leviathan.
if you read the Ugaritic text, it is.
Oh,
I
no, I'm not. No, I'm not talking about like saying the Ugaritic text doesn't mention it. I was just saying with the Hebrew text, it doesn't mention it.
Okay. The Hebrew text. Why do I care about the Hebrew texts? Can you remind me?
Because Lotan and Leviathan are one and the same. They're not buddies.
Yeah, but why do I care about the Hebrew text? Wait a minute. Tell me, why should I care about what the darn Hebrews think?
Because the Hebrews were also Canaanites And the Canaanites were Hebrews. Well, not all of them. Some of them were.
Yeah.
They split from each
I
other,
don't really care for the Hebrew
and
text.
they're also both Semitic or
Uh,
Shemitic, as we know
I
with the ancient
don't
Near
think the
East.
Canaanites would be happy being called that.
Well, too bad. That's what we learned about the language and all that stuff. They get the Cry River. They don't like it.
Maybe. Noah, I tick would probably be better for them. yeah. I'm
As long as they
sorry.
get to fight my duck raptors, then I'm good.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna destroy happiness. I hate God's Not Dead. That's a terrible movie. I want it all to burn pure flicks.
So, haven't you wondered why Jesus is compared to the serpent? Why Jesus says the Son of Man must be lifted up just as the serpent was lifted up? Why does he keep relating himself to a serpent?
I wonder if it has something to do with one known as Moses.
Yeah, but why the serpent? Why the image of a serpent?
Maybe it has to do with a serpentine being with multiple wings and eyeballs all over its body and it's burning.
Is
Maybe.
it possible we're referring to a type of dragon?
Maybe. Also, me and Tal were actually kind of talking about it was actually with the whole Leviathan being eaten, we're comparing that to the Eucharist.
You caught on. You caught on.
We will be friends with the and that stupid ox is annoying. Which would win, the ox or the dragon? I vote dragon.
I would have to say Jormungandr, the giant snake.
Funny enough, isn't Jormungandr the one that wraps itself around the world?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think in like some of the Norse creation legends, they kill it and use its body to help create the world.
No, he's killed at Ragnarok.
Oh, Ragnarok.
When
Which is the one that's
Thor kills him and he kills Thor. Basically,
oh, yeah.
Thor and Jormungandr kill each other.
The suicide buddy. Yeah. What's it called? Which is the one that
It's a
that
battle
they kill?
to the death.
Yeah. Which is the one that they kill to create the world? Because there's apparently one that they kill to create like it comes from like the primordial waters within
you're thinking, isn't it?
It's very similar to the
his
Tiamat
name
story.
It's was it Ymir or something?
No. Ymir was a giant. The giant became like the body and like became like the ground and where the gods came from. But the water, which is basically his fluids and basically the primordial waters.
His blood.
And out of that came a dragon. I forgot the name of it, or at least a serpent that they killed to create the world.
Oh, you mean the one that eateth upon the world tree at its roots?
Maybe.
I don't remember his name. Is it Nighog or something?
Maybe. But like I said, I don't remember what that sounds familiar.
I don't remember either. Maybe it's Tiamat.
Like
maybe we're thinking about Tiamat now.
No. I was saying it sounds very similar to the Tiamat story, but it's Norse.
No, you got my joke? Because the only serpent I know of that was used that way is Tiamat.
Tiamat. Some depictions is one-headed. Some depiction Tiamat's one-headed, some depictions is multiple heads. And it's also a Chaos Water Dragon.
Tiamat is a. Never mind. I need to watch my language.
Hey, don't insult her. She's the mother of all dragons.
Tiamat wasn't the first dragon, in fact.
I know. I'm making a joke.
She was a deceiver from the beginning. A stupid dragon that did not even know of the other dragons. She was vain. A foolish dragon.
But then, regardless, with the whole multi-headed...
That's why God killed her. That's why God killed her.
With the whole multi-headed fiends, what's it called?
I'm just glad Tiamat died.
Or are they? What was I saying? Oh yeah, but
what else do you think the heavens and the earth were made out of? How else could they have been made if not by killing Tiamat?
Mud fossils.
It's not like God could create ex nihilo.
Ooh, I know. Formless matter.
You know, the whole creation ex nihilo thing is never actually stated anywhere in the Bible.
What? Ex what?
Creation ex nihilo is actually not entirely
What's nihilo?
Ex nihilo, it means creation from nothing.
Yeah. That's why we have the formless matter. That's what that's all about.
Matter existed in the beginning in the form of energy.
Yeah, no, it's formless matter, as the Catholics say.
That's why it's called energy.
And then we have
MC
and then we actually
squared, right?
Technically, and actually we technically didn't create the land first. It was actually the underworld created first, the abyss, with the waters and all that.
You know, the funny thing is, people don't realize that E equals MC squared is actually the secret of how God created the universe.
Really? I know it's virtual particles.
Well,
coming
think about
existence and out of existence constantly over and over again with no origin of where they come from.
Wait, if energy and matter can be made equal to one another, if energy can become matter and matter can become energy, and God is all powerful, then think about this. God is energy personified, right? So you got the picture energy, as how God would have created.
But does energy really even exist? Does any of it exist?
Now that is a good question. That's a good question. The energy of God would have, if he were to expel it from himself, given the amount of energy he would expel from himself, it's likely he would have ended up creating something else. And because of energy in the very beginning being sentient, that thing might have taken the form of, say, a dragon, which we would later call Tiamat. So God then kills Tiamat and...
What a formless matter. But what's it called? Yeah, and then the days happen. We have the underworld created and all that stuff. The earth gets
where
formed.
does it say God created the underworld? Give me the passage. I need the passage.
God created the underworld, heavens in the underworld.
Show me. Where does it say he created the underworld? I've been looking.
No. I actually am saying it. Genesis. Genesis actually says he created the underworld, but it's the issue is people don't realize when it's talking about when it says the earth, it's actually referring to the underworld in that ancient Near East language.
You're funny. You know that? You're being funny again.
Funny with power. True power. Not that stupid power that Jesus as Lord has.
You mean Jill?
Yes. Well, Uncle Ruckus, as I call him.
Uh-huh. There's been a lot of crazy things going on, though. I was
You mean like
dealing
Serpent Seed
with someone
Doctrine?
trying to revive Tiamat. A stupid person
Tiamat.
tried to revive Tiamat. Do you know what would happen if Tiamat revived?
It's the end of the universe as we know it, and I'm going to another.
Actually, if Tiamat revived, then you could guarantee that at least the Middle East would be wiped off the map.
There goes Middle East.
Because we still have Midgard. Midgard would
Midgard.
still exist. We also have Gaia. Her territory in the world would still exist.
Not after I
But
kill her.
they don't kill Lady Gaia. We need her.
She said
She's
the
nice.
N-word.
She's a nice goddess.
Not after Bigfoot was preaching the gospel. Not after that.
At least and Japan would be untouched if Tiamat were to be revived. Although if Tiamat goes on a rampage after being revived, then we're in trouble.
That's why we revived the Leviathan.
Hello, Dwayne.
It's Darwin Watterson.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I'm not sure if this is an adult or a kid.
I don't know. How old are you?
What do you want to say my age for?
Yeah, they sound young. Get them out of here.
The only reason I asked that was to make sure we're not dealing with a child.
Yeah. You really need to watch who you let in.
Oh.
Oh, plus the image was a cartoon character from a Cartoon Network TV show. So yeah.
Well, hey, I used to watch Cartoon Network even after I turned 18. There were times I was watching Cartoon Network.
Yeah. That is a red flag, regardless. What's it called?
Although it would have been
that's what I was going to say.
If it was someone like Dexter or maybe Dee Dee, I think it would be less likely to be a child, given how old those are.
I mean, that
or
one
maybe
was
Johnny
2000s.
Bravo. That would have been awesome. Hey, if you want to come back in here, try Johnny Bravo. That would be awesome. I'm sorry. sorry.
So the that's why we revive Leviathan, then we can have a kaiju battle. Let them fight.
As long as we don't have Tiamat revived, I'm good.
Oh no, we have Tiamat versus Leviathan versus Fenrir.
No, thank you.
The giant wolf. We need the giant wolf. We need the giant wolf to join in on the battle.
Hey, why do we need Fenris?
Yeah, we need it to join in the battle. It's a free for all battle, and we can get what's his name, Gagorida, so he can be representative of Kong. He can be in place of Kong, that giant ape.
No, thank you.
We can get the bear.
Giant.
And we can get that giant bear from America.
What giant bear?
The giant bear that is as big as that Devil's Tower.
I don't know. Don't know any giant bears.
Well, it's as big as Devil's Tower, so we can have all of them. Oh, and we can get the Rainbow Serpent in on this. We can
At
get
least
the dragon.
You're not trying to get the World Turtle involved.
Oh no, but we're gonna get the Dragon Kings and we're gonna get the Dragon Kings.
Don't get the World Turtle involved.
All four.
Don't get the giant.
All four dragons.
Don't get the world elephants involved.
Okay,
don't get the pig. Don't get the giant pig involved. We don't need those guys involved. Okay?
No. We're gonna get the all four Dragon Kings. All four of them.
Why do we need Dragon Kings? Tell me, why are we getting the Dragon Kings involved in this crap?
Because they're giant.
I don't want my giant beings to fight each other. That's not good.
It's
That's
a kaiju
very
battle.
bad. You're
And then
being
we can
bad.
and we can film it all and make a monster movie trilogy.
Why are you keep calling these creatures monsters when they're clearly not monsters? They're
Kaiju.
normal. No, they're normal. They're normal creatures.
So
Well, normal
Godzilla's a
one-of-a-kind
normal creature in
creatures.
his movie. I mean, Godzilla in his movies is not just a one of a kind creature. He's he's of an entire species, just like Kong is of an entire species.
Ooh, Jesse Camping is here. Are you gonna hop in?
Greetings. It's still friend.
Yeah.
And then we can have
The link should be in the description.
ooh. And we can get the turtle that is called the Zartan that has islands on its back. It can join in the fight.
Why not just have the Kraken and be satisfied with the Kraken?
I would, but Leviathan would probably deep fry him. Oh yeah. Let's send him in so we can get some calamari.
Oh wait, the Kraken. You know what I just realized? We could send the Kraken to Japan and they can make food out of the Kraken.
And then what else is there? South American. We haven't got
Now
South
I'm getting
America.
hungry.
What's giant in
getting
South
hungry.
America?
But why am I getting hungry? Why are we talking about food now?
We can get the giant centipedes from Japan, the ones that kill dragons.
I don't think that's good. Why do you keep wanting to kill dragons?
I don't want to kill the dragons. I just say we're getting the kaiju into battle.
Why are we doing this? You're being crazy.
Because monster movie trilogy. So we could end it off where they all become friends and dance on Africa.
As long as you don't bring Tiamat in, as long as you don't get Tiamat involved, we're good. We can't get any of the
that's where it started from.
Involved.
That's where it started
all
from.
All the giant
Tiamat
monsters
versus Leviathan.
that pretty much make up the Earth, we can't get those guys involved. That would destroy the Earth as we know it.
They make up the Earth. Wait, so are they like what's it called? The mud fossils? Is this Mud Fossil University?
These beings were fused together to make the Earth when multiple different universes collided together into one. So if you revive one of these monsters, you will destroy the Earth as we know it. It will wipe out at least a continent.
So it's Marvel Kingdom
cause
Come.
the Earth to be reshaped. We can't do that. That's dangerous.
I don't remember. Was it called Kingdom Come? I don't remember.
So I wonder where Jesse Camping went.
Ooh, we can get that giant whale in this.
I hope he's doing okay, because he just
he's doing okay.
Up and vanished on us.
Yeah, so we have giant turtles, we have giant dragons, giant monkeys, giant bears, giant centipedes.
Monkeys? I don't know no giant monkeys.
Gagorida.
Don't know what that is.
From Africa. It's a giant ape-like ogre thing that sits there and waits for you to get near the edge of the cliff, then it pushes you off. Even it's giant.
So it's not a continental calamity class beast then. Okay, good.
I mean, as long as it's not a mud fossil. Mud fossil university.
As long as we're not dealing with continental sized calamity beasts, we're good. We need no Tiamat.
I already ate Tiamat.
No, Tiamat is still in the Near East, because if she wasn't, then there would be no more
No, I meant
Israel.
from the other universe.
Ah, from another universe. Well, don't bring them here then. You're
I
not
ate it.
allowed to.
I ate it.
Bringing them here would be bad.
You see, Mixapilla helped me grab one, and we ate it.
There's a lot of things I don't know.
And the dog is scratching at the back door.
As long as we're not dealing with any crazy gods, I should be good right now. I just hope Zeus doesn't show up. If he shows up, I'm gonna be angry.
For some reason, Zeus was able to almost kill Darkseid. I call BS right there. Darkseid would have annihilated his
Yeah,
ass.
that is BS, because last I checked, Zeus is at a gas station. Oh, you mean in a comic book?
No, I mean in the movie.
Ah, in a movie. Still, that's bullcrap, because last I checked, Zeus works at a gas station, so why is he appearing in a movie?
Because he was fighting Darkseid alongside the Green Lanterns.
Why
And
would
what else was there?
Zeus
The
be fighting
Atlanteans.
Darkseid? He has to be at his gas station.
He was with Ares and Hades. And what's their name?
You're telling me
And
Ares
the Atlanteans and the Amazons. They were all fighting Darkseid.
Wait a minute. Ares, isn't he? Last I checked, he basically left this universe. So what's he doing in a movie? Oh wait, this movie is based on a different universe. Never mind.
Of Darkseid, the one fighting Darkseid.
Sorry, I'm getting confused here.
Are you talking about when he died in Wonder Woman? Which technically
No,
not
I'm talking about the real Ares, the Ares of our universe.
Oh, don't worry, the ducks killed him.
No, he's not dead. He went to a different universe. The idiot.
No, Scrooge McDuck killed him.
Last I checked, he's still alive. I don't know anymore. That was about, what, 4 years ago?
Time to activate the Ramrod device. Let's get dangerous. Tog, you mocked me. You mocked me, Tog. Get your butt in here. I know you're out there watching.
Wait, Tog's watching?
Get in here, you amphibian.
Wait, are you sure Tog is watching?
I'm pretty sure.
How would you know?
They know too much. Take them out.
That's weird.
Hello there. I'm totally not a clone of the original.
Okay. Holy Mother of God. Yay. What's wrong with us?
I ask that every day to that giant lizard bird that keeps staring at me.
Why is it that I don't have many people to talk to?
Because the algorithm didn't notify them. Just like it didn't notify me. I only got notified because I looked at my feed.
Okay. Do you know what I've been spending most of my time doing lately?
Watching anime, eating cookies.
No, reading manga.
And the number three, manga. Mango.
I've been reading manga because I can't find any more new anime.
Well, that's the part where you start watching the bad anime.
I already have.
You mean the
I'm
one? You
pretty
mean the
much
one
running
where the
out of
dog and
anime.
a? You mean like the one where
There's
the
only
dog and the
the only
girl?
anime I will never watch is the one with very buff guys because those make me sick to my stomach. I hate those kind of anime.
What about the one with the girl and the dog in a relationship?
I've watched anime like that. Oh wait, I should have did with that.
Well,
Why are
there's a
you making me
certain
admit that? You crazy?
there's a certain meme lord who talks about it. So and he talks about all kinds of animes and forces people to watch terrible anime. So I was wondering if you actually did truly see the bottom of the cesspool.
Yeah, I've also watched Boku no Pico.
That's at the top of the cesspool, not quite at the bottom. I've seen things.
Let's see, what else
No
have I
man
watched?
should see.
Oh, you know what the best anime I've ever watched that doesn't have a dubbed version? I would have to say my one of my favorite anime of all time would have to be Kiss X Sis. Although I'm going to hell for liking that anime.
Sounds like one I should be shooting with a shotgun.
Well, they're his step
By the way, I
sisters.
may or may not have a Protoceratops animatronic trying to kill me.
I see. Step siblings in anime are funny. They're very funny.
You know what are the best anime? The anime where a New
Um,
Zealander is time traveling to the past to biblical times with a bunch of people on a school bus, and they're running over atheists.
Oh, you know what another good anime is? Although it's too short.
Attack on Titan. Wait, no, that's too long.
No, Saint Young Men.
Sounded like something else.
Saint Young Men is a anime where the Jesus and the Buddha are staying in a apartment together while on vacation.
Can you type it out for me? In the private?
I will. You're gonna like this, okay?
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn.
And it's one of those anime that you really gotta laugh. You really will laugh. I guarantee it.
Not when the bat
Um,
stabs me with the batarang.
I'm gonna give you the name in Japanese so it will be easier to find.
Because English is hard to find.
I
blame the
no, it's
clown
just
with the
easier to
yellow-
find on certain websites.
Well, then I blame the clown with the green mushroom in the corner and the cat bell.
Jesus Christ and what is that name? God.
Oni was my shotgun.
I can't even. What was the name of Buddha again? The first name was it Gautama?
Buddha Maria.
I can't even.
Gautama. Hatama.
I can't pronounce this.
Hami
I'm just gonna
Hami Ha.
post it.
Hami Hami Ha.
Here you go. Here's the name I'm trying to pronounce. There you go. Anyway, I find the Buddha to be interesting character because in this story, the Buddha on Christmas ends up telling Jesus, "I believe in you."
But true power is how do you play charades and depict a manticore?
You know, I find it funny that the Japanese are okay with making comedies involving gods that people actually believe in. That to me
Well, the
is
Americans are fine with
amazing.
it. Well, just Americans are fine with it. Steven
Well,
Spielberg,
Americans, well, they're fine with it. Well, Americans are fine with it. The way the kind of humor they do is the ones that are fine with doing that go so far to the point of which it's offensive in the worst ways possible. At least
Yeah.
when the Japanese do it, they do it in a more. It's not so much meant to be offensive in the sense that it wants to make everyone look bad at the divine being they're making fun of. No, it's Japanese comedy involving the gods is more lighthearted than Western comedy involving divine beings. Western comedy involving divine beings is just so offensive to the point of which a Christian couldn't even put up with it. But at least this comedy, I think a Christian could handle and actually would, on some level, enjoy.
Ooh, that's actually good.
Because it's not that kind of. It's not so much meant to be offensive as it's how another person looking into these religions might see certain funny things and are more often poking fun at the impressions they get of these characters from an outsider looking in.
Okay.
But when people in the West make fun of Jesus, it's pretty much just to make fun of Jesus and offend Christians. That's the difference.
Now, unless what's it called? There's some. Who are their names? Oh yeah, it's them. These guys. What's it called? Meet Pinky and the Brain, who went to rule the universe. There's good feathers flock together, sloppy waxing with their purse. Viking faces Minty, or Rita sings a verse. The writer said, "You have no script. I bought her to rehearse." You don't get it, do you?
No.
It's Animaniacs.
You know, there's even a movie, a Saint Youngman movie, which was awesome.
Not after I killed Odis. All the Odis will be decapitated and their heads put on pikes.
But at least this anime doesn't. The interesting thing about this anime is perfectly fine admitting Jesus as the Son of God. It's perfectly fine with all of these things that most of the people mocking Christianity wouldn't admit to. They would just and when they do it in such a way to be very much more offensive. But this anime is not trying to be offensive about that. The thing that's funny about this anime is the fact that we have the Buddha and the Christ living together. That's the central point of the comedy.
They're not trying to be offensive. It's funny. Oh, I see how it is. Not in my Christian Minecraft server.
You know what? I like the Buddha. And I like the Christ. But you know what? It's very funny when you have both of them in the same place at the same time. That's the funniest thing ever.
You know what's funny?
And also, the other thing is, at least Jesus in this and the Buddha both are treated as very good people in the show. Because of that, even though there's comedy at their expense at times, it's like the fact that it captures their good qualities as well goes a long way to show you these people are not trying to make fun of Jesus in the sense that the people in the West would make fun of Jesus. When people make fun of Jesus here in the West, they're doing it just to hurt someone. It's a very different mentality than in Japan. In Japan, the way people view the gods is very different. And because of that, the way they make fun of the gods is the same way they would make fun of pretty much any character.
by
It's
calling them the Lord of Flies.
wait. There's
Wait, no, wrong. That was the East. Never mind.
yeah. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about not talking about the Middle East. I'm talking about even further east.
So far east, you're down under. Oh wait, no, that's higher.
Yeah. What's wrong? We're talking about Japan, for Pete's sake. Okay, the land of the rising sun.
Not until, well, actually, yeah, the sun will rise so far up that the land will will descend
Are
so
you
far
trying to?
down.
Hey, what's wrong with you, Wiley? I mean,
I
this
don't know.
lizard.
I don't know. Tog, I guess.
But seriously, you're going to like that anime. You are.
And then we will review it. And then we will watch 12. And then God's Not Dead. And then everything else. Oh, and we'll be watching, what's his name? Oh, wait, first Superbook. Then we also have Bible Man.
Bible
Torture.
now.
It's a thing called Bible Man. I forgot. I'm going to
Are you
type
talking
something in
about
the
that
private chat.
old show meant to, well, that was targeting children to try to replace
Yeah.
Power Rangers or whatnot?
Replace superheroes. Yeah.
That stupid show?
Yep.
Yeah, how many
No,
verses were taken out of context in that show?
I haven't seen it, but I'm going to be seeing it soon. To
Well,
force myself
be
through torture.
careful. It takes the
There's a
Bible out
reason.
of context a
I
lot.
know. But it's meant to put myself through torture to deal with it. There's a reason. I ain't gonna explain why on air. But I'm gonna.
I think I might have seen it a long time ago, but
the Bible Man first. I know this will get demonetized, so I'm just
it
gonna
was
put it in
so
the.
disturbed.
I'm gonna put it in the private chat because that will definitely get you flagged. But he fights a villain called that. What the heck was with that thing?
Oh.
He fights a villain called that.
Yeah.
Definitely would get you demonetized. Well, at least taken off air.
I didn't remember that was the name of the villain, but what I can tell you.
No, not the villain, a villain. Because it's meant to be like a superhero character.
Well, I didn't know that was the name of a villain in this show, but what I do know is that makes the show very anti-Semitic.
Yep.
And that means the show needs to go and get burned. And whoever made it should be burning in hell.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad movies burn. No, just kidding. It was comicsy, but something like that would be like happening.
But you know, at least the things I watch, even though some of them make fun of religion, they don't so much make fun of it in a way that is meant to truly offend. It's more very lighthearted. And considering the way Jesus Christ was, and the kind of abuse he had taken at the hands of the religious leaders and whatnot,
Well,
honestly, I don't think he would have a problem with lighthearted jokes being said about him.
Then again, it wasn't blasphemy of Christ, it was blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. That causes an issue.
Yeah, whatever blasphemy you say against the Father and the Son can be forgiven, but blasphemy against the Holy Spirit cannot be forgiven. So, I think Jesus would be fine.
and then we
Honestly.
mix.
And plus, honestly, I think Jesus has a sense of humor.
Oh my gosh, speaking of something stupid that has to do with gods, but it's not like actual like Christian ones, but you know what I mean. Um, the joke is with
Honestly,
Kirby, with the hold on, the joke is with that video game character Kirby. One of the jokes is it's like compared to like a character from a game that's supposed to be serious. It's like they did this, and then it has Kirby has killed gods because someone stole his cake.
huh? Interesting. But you know, be them the Buddha, the Christ,
Or Steve
or even
and
a
Steve.
comic. The Japanese uh way of comedy, they most of the Japanese are not very religious, but they're not as it's
Cruel.
interesting because if they go into a church, a Shinto practitioner, if they go into the church, they become a Christian. The moment they go out of the church, they're an atheist. The moment they go to the shrine, they're a Shinto practitioner. If they go to a Buddhist temple, they become Buddhist. That's the way they think. They're only religious when they're in a religious environment. The moment they go out of said environment, the concept of God is not really in their mind as much.
Yeah,
Which is why they don't have as big of a problem with their jokes. That's why their humor is so different than us in the West
yeah, and they
when
can
it
say
comes
the
to
C word
religion.
in children's show. Yokai, yokai watch.
You know, if the Japanese were anything like us in the West, do you think they would have? Do you think a show like Yokai Watch would even have been really allowed? No, because
Like,
yokai in the West would be called demons. Our equivalent to yokai here in the West are demons, and do you think Western parents would allow their children to watch something like that?
I mean, it depends
Definitely
on how
not the
you name
Christians.
it. Depends on how you name it.
It's,
Plus,
I
quite
get
often
that,
it
but
ends up that way, regardless of what people realize. You get what
actually
I mean with
no.
that part.
How many Christians actually have a problem with yokai? Tell me.
How many
They're
even
not
know what
demons. They're
yokai
just
are?
they're just monsters. In terms of the way the Western people think of them, they're just monsters.
Well, that's what I'm
They're not
saying.
really
How many people?
demons. They're just monsters. It's like how many? Well, I do know that when Pokemon first got started, there was this whole satanic thing about Pokemon going around the
There's
internet.
still the
I mean,
satanic
going
panic
around
about
TV.
Pokemon.
But
There's still the satanic
but
panic about Pokemon. There's still those nuts that think that.
yes, I get that. But that's the minority now. Once you
Well, they
realize
were in
what
minority
Pokemon.
back then. It's just the minority isn't in like such big powers, big gripes about it. They still exist, but they're still the minority as well.
Yeah, but they weren't making as much noise. They're not making as much noise now.
Now, yeah, not as much noise now, but they still exist.
Yeah, but but if you actually pay attention, um, there's how many people when it comes to Yokai Watch, was there a big panic about that?
Well, most people don't even acknowledge Yokai Watch's actual thing. Most of them don't even know it's an actual game or stuff like that. Freaking Yokai Watch $5 at a store now because most people don't care about it that much.
But think about it for a moment. These kind of things are interesting to me because it just goes to show you that when it comes to other religions' version of monsters and demons, us in the West, we're not as worried about them. We're more worried with actual demons than myths and superstitions. Which is why the Christian community in the West doesn't show as much problem towards these other things.
Ah,
But also, look at the difference in our mentalities about religion for a moment. Us in the West, we want a separation of church and state. But at the same time, it
well,
is
depends
the
on who
very
you're
people
thinking
that
of.
say there needs to be a separation that can never separate the two in their minds. It's those same people
Yeah.
from the religious communities.
Well, it
If
looks
you
like you
go to
differ.
Japan and deal with the way religion works in Japan, there is a true separation between church and state in Japan
Right.
now. Interestingly.
Well, then again, it also depends on who you're thinking of. Like, say, with the Catholics, do they prefer, like, yeah, we want this law or anything? But they're not that big of a deal over it. Wow, the Protestants are a big deal. How dare that law be passed?
Yeah. Hello, Daniel. How have you been? The link's in the description if you want to join the chat.
Oh, it's Daniel Obitsky. He may want my head.
Why
After the
does he
stuff I
want your
said about
head?
after the stuff I said about evolution and universal salvation.
Oh, I see. What did you say about evolution?
I said I was arguing in favor of it.
You were doing what now?
Arguing in favor of it.
Oh, arguing in favor. Wait a minute. Wait, have they sold you on evolution now? Are you an evolutionist now?
Kind of.
Whatever.
Not that big of a deal.
You
Well,
know,
actually, it wasn't. Actually, it's in a sense the reverse. It wasn't. What's it called? The people on the side of evolution that convinced me. It was the younger creationist.
well, you want me to tell you a little joke?
What?
One man told me the earth is millions of years old. And you know what my answer
Yeah.
to him was? Yes. And he was in the room when a man came to me and told me the world is only 6,000 years old. And I answered yes. Then the guy who said that the earth was older got angry with me, saying, how can you say yes to both of us? And then I told them, who are you to tell me how the flow of time works for different people? What more, can you tell me how the flow of time works for God? Or for other planets? Because is there not such a thing as special relativity? So, if that is the case, then what is it to you if I agree with both of you? Because if special relativity is true, both answers could technically be correct, depending on your perspective.
By the way, you're probably going to lose like any possible viewers you could, well, at least from the atheist side, because what's his name? Jefferson's going live.
I don't really care too much for atheists.
Aw.
I'd rather have Buddhists.
Buddha, but Buddha mocked me. What about a secular Buddhist like Quentin?
Honestly, whether the Buddha is not a god, but you know what? And many Buddhists are atheists. I'll admit that. But you know what I don't like? I don't like atheists that have nothing to believe in. Those that just solely believe in the physical world without anything else, to me, are foolish. Because there's so many things in the universe and in reality that they cannot explain.
Like evil chipmunks. Why do evil chipmunks exist? That's the real question we need to be asking.
It's funny to me, though. Truly funny that people think that you want to call the being God or call it something else. There's clearly something else out there, something greater than ourselves. Well, but then you have the people who want to just ignore it. And to me, that's foolish.
Yeah. It's him.
Hello.
He's alive.
Hey, can you hear me?
Have you come for my head finally?
You got your head on. Don't worry, Mr. Lizard. You'll be okay. It will be okay. I can't help it if you're embracing heresy. That's okay. God will forgive you.
Aw.
Me, I'm a heretic, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, see? Abel's not worried about his head.
I'm not worried about my head as long as I don't go to Muslim country. I'm more worried about being burned at the stake if I go to the Vatican, though.
Can you guys hear me all right?
The
Yeah, I can hear
Inquisition
ya.
was not
I
that
can
bad.
hear you.
I got a new phone, so it's better than my other one. Cool. So what are you guys talking about? Hey, where you been,
Well,
Abel? I haven't seen you in a long time.
I've been good. We've been talking about the way that the Japanese treat religion and how their form of comedy when it involves religious characters is not so much to offend the religious, but more so it's more lighthearted comedy. But when you have comedy made about religious figures here in the West, it's meant solely to offend the religious. Which is, to me, I don't get it. Why target religious figures to make fun of the religious and just make enemies? Why do that? If you want to make fun of religious figures, fine. But don't do it in a way that's going to get people pissed off at you and start a whole bunch of conflict that can be avoided.
At least, if you're going to make fun of somebody, make fun of the individual person rather than a religion.
No. I think
I'm
it's
a maniac like that.
I think it's
Sorry.
because in the West people are so uptight and I don't know, they're just so uptight that like it's easy to get to trigger a response out of people. And that sells, you know what I mean? It creates like it's like an advertisement. Yeah, it does. The controversy creates, you know, it's like free advertising, and then everyone goes and watches it, and you know, and atheism was like big in pop culture for a while. So
I have an anime recommendation for any Christian who likes comedy but doesn't get offended that easily and can actually handle a little bit of humor. The anime is Saint Young Men. I also recommend it to Buddhists. There's a reason for that. Because the two main characters are Jesus Christ and the Buddha.
yeah, I was watching an anime with my my friend's son, and he it was Satan, and it's like they were in another world or something. It was Satan, and he was fighting with I guess angels, and then Satan comes to Earth, and so does the angel
the
he's
hero.
fighting is like a girl.
Yeah, the hero Amelia.
And he gets a job at like McDonald's or something.
McDonald's. It's McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh, so you even know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's the devil's a part-timer.
Yeah. It was kind of funny.
And it's funny because Satan in that anime is the hero. He becomes the hero.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched one episode, I think.
It's funny though because that Satan is not our Satan. It's a very different Satan.
I was watching like it was like, I don't know. It's funny though. They were like fighting each other. The girl's like, "I'm gonna kill him," and like the cops arrested them. It was funny.
Yeah, it's funny. And you know, that's the kind of humor you get in Japan. That's the kind of religious humor you can find there. It's like, oh, that doesn't happen here in the West. In the West, you don't see that kind of humor.
I'm still dumbfounded that you even knew what the heck I was talking about.
That's one of my favorite anime. I'm sorry, that's one of my favorite anime.
I guess it was on Netflix or something, maybe.
It is on Netflix.
Yeah, that's probably why.
But no, that's not where I first watched it. I ended up finding it by accident online one time.
Yeah,
And
I
ever
mean,
since, I loved that anime. I love it. It's one of my
What-
favorites.
what did they have? When I was little. I mean, I liked like Voltron. That's like a cartoon, but what was it? Ghost in the Machine? Ghost in the Shell? One of those?
There's another anime I would recommend for Christians that isn't actually comedy. It is technically a horror-based anime. It's somewhat scary, so I wouldn't watch it with children because it's kind of scary. But it's called Ghost Hunt. One of the characters is a priest. And then you have a Buddhist monk. You have a Shinto shrine maiden. Yeah, it's one of those weird anime that has people from different religions working together,
Mhm.
which to me is just amazing. Seeing a group of characters from that diverse of backgrounds is just awesome to me. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I figured I wanted to know what like my daughter is starting to watch all this crap, so I figured I wanted to see what it was like.
Well, what most people don't realize is, did you know that Transformers isn't actually a cartoon? It's actually an anime.
I just like it, definitely. When I was little, I mean,
Well,
that it reminds me of the same kind of animation.
yeah, the original Transformers, the older ones, were definitely anime. Although there are some Transformer cartoons that are actually cartoons now, which to me is funny, considering normally you have some cartoons that turn into anime when they go over and then they have some changes done to them. But it's very rare to have anime turn into cartoons. That's completely backwards to me. And the way that happened just boggles my mind.
Well, was Voltron a anime? That was more like
Well,
anime.
technically it was a anime, but it's one of those. There are some shows that are on the border, right there on the border. Yes, it is technically a anime, but Voltron had a lot of things cut from it. The original anime had some scenes that us here in the West would never show children.
Dude, I loved that when I was little. I
Do you
love.
know how much censorship there is within anime that comes to the West for children audiences?
Well,
It's to me, it's funny because some of the things that get censored, it's like, did that really need to get censored? It makes no sense to censor certain things. It's like there's a scene in the Pokemon, the new the Sun and Moon anime, the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime, where they censor a few second scene where Ash is throwing up. It was already pretty censored in the Japanese version, but the way they censored it in the American version is just cut it out entirely. I'm like, huh?
huh?
I
Does that
didn't know
make
they
sense?
did that. With throw up? Really?
Yeah, it's like, why are the things they censor just doesn't make sense to me. I do
Oh,
get
did you hear
there's
the
one
one with the
scene that they censored that makes sense. Meowth ended up going to almost died and almost went to the other side. That being censored, yeah, okay, I get it. But
They made
throw up,
jokes like that, but they made jokes like that before, and it's gotten by.
yeah, it's I think as the newer generation of people watching Pokemon here in the West, children are getting more and more cuddled in the West, which means less people want to. There's the censorship is getting worse because of it. Because parents are now trying to. Certain parents are cuddling their children more, which makes the censorship more heavy. But as a side effect of this, it means that children are more likely to go to other sources to find entertainment that their parents don't know about, and it's dangerous. This is we here in the West are playing with fire with the way we censor certain things. It's dangerous. This level of
The whole
censorship.
Streisand effect.
It's terrible. I'm afraid for what might happen with the way we try to censor things in the West. It's too much. I don't think it's wise.
Yeah, when comedians can't tell jokes, we got problems. I agree.
Yeah. In fact, there's also the one reason why, another reason for Japanese anime that even though it's in Japan, it's okay for children to watch certain things. The way our views on morality here in the West are very different.
How is that?
The Western world has a bigger problem with nudity, has a bigger problem with these things than the Japanese world does. And sexuality is a bigger problem here in the West. The way we view things are more problematic. So you might have certain scenes that, if you understand what's going on, it has some sexual undertones in Japanese stuff. But interestingly enough, it's done in such a way that it doesn't influence the children to act in certain ways that in America, when we have things that are sexualized, it's to the extreme. Sexualized content in the West is often extreme. We have no way of being subtle about it. We're not good at being subtle. But when it comes to the Japanese, in terms of their anime and stuff, it is subtle at times. And in fact, it's the character. These things are a part of natural children development, and that's probably why, because we try to censor these things, the children end up going and looking for it on their own, and they end up in the very extreme things right away, and that causes a lot of problems. And that is another reason why we have more censorship happening. The result of censorship is more censorship.
I agree with what you're saying, that the kids they find their own like porn,
And
it's disgusting and it's not good for kids. Absolutely not.
yeah, and you know what? If you look at what's going on in anime, it's nowhere near as bad as what they will end up finding as an alternative. In fact, in the anime, you have more pure romance the romance is more pure than, and if you expose them to that, it would be much better than to leave them on their own for them to find something worse. Because that sets them up for a much worse situation. And that's unfortunately what we here in the West have unintentionally done.
I also heard you bring up on what's it called, Pokemon, which with censorship, I recall there was apparently a Pokemon episode that was also censored in America because the characters dressed up as a gorilla Pokemon, and the gorilla's face happened to be, I think, brown or black.
Oh my gosh, a gorilla actually
Yes,
looked like a gorilla?
yes, and
That's so dumb.
And the characters
Yes,
dressed up
and
as a
that's
gorilla,
like-
so that episode was banned.
Yeah, that is the dumbest thing. I mean, that's the kind of thing that drives me crazy. Like, are people that crazy that they're worried about something like that? It's just so dumb.
to me, I understand Daniel. I get it. That's crazy. But you know what? I also get the people that are looking to find racism in everything will
Well,
find it.
tell me this: if you see someone dressed up as a gorilla, and the first thing that comes into your mind is something about black people, you're the freaking racist. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with
I
you?
get that. I get that. But
Why would you even think something like that? That's so
you know what? This
dumb.
reminds me about the character Brock. Do you know why Brock was removed from the anime for a season or two? For a season, and it wasn't even a complete season of the anime. Not really. He was
Was
removed
it? Are
because
you
people
referring to
thought,
the Orange Islands?
yes, Brock was removed because they thought his image was racist. But then they brought in a white character. Okay, this white character who was had pretty much no personality to try to avoid being racist. And you want me to tell you something? Unfortunately, the character they brought in to try to, because of their fear that Brock was would be seen as a racist stereotype, the character they brought in was the one who ended up fitting a racist stereotype. Because they were so concerned about being racist, they ended up unintentionally
Yeah,
making a racist character.
it gets ridiculous.
It's funny the way they try to avoid it and they end up
Also,
screwing up. It's like you should have just left Brock in.
Hey, Mr. Lizard,
with the
do you know that there's a nice basis for racism in evolution, Mr. Lizard? As
I
Darwin
noticed.
wrote, the preservation of favorable races.
Yep, that's stupidity.
Yeah, the
Yeah, that's
human
the
race.
foundation
That's
that
the
you're
favorite
embracing.
race. Hey, wait. The favorite race is the human race. Did you forget that?
Oh no, that's not what evolution is,
I
though.
know, I'm making a joke. I'm turning the whole racist thing on its head. I'm making a bad joke.
I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you. There's only one human race, but
Mhm.
that's not how eugenics really works. You know what I mean? I mean, you should look at some of the writings in the past. I mean, they would
Oh
take.
yeah.
I mean, they were collecting skulls. They were going to Africa and just bringing back skulls of Africans, like trying to line them up for some kind of evolutionary progression. I mean, just evil stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine if evolution wasn't discovered back then, but was discovered in the modern times where people weren't as racist.
Well, you know what, Mr.
It would
Lizard?
have been
I
different.
think people are more racist now than they were when I was a kid. And
I
I
know.
think
They are. They're just not
I'm
as
trying to
open
make.
about it.
I know. I'm just saying. When I was a kid, I don't know. At least I was raised like people are people. It's the way I was raised.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's been happening, but I mean, when I
Well,
turn on the news, it
racism
seems
is
like
being flipped on its head. You know what's interesting? Whenever
it's
you
crazy.
try to completely annihilate an idea, what you end up doing most often than not is you flip it on its head. Before, it was the whites being very racist and messed up to black people. Now we're seeing the inverse of that happening.
Yeah, it's true.
It's because people want when people forget about history, often it repeats itself, but with certain situations it repeats itself in the inverse. And that's what's going on now.
I
Because
don't know.
the people that remember are usually the victims. The ones who try to forget are the ones who actually carry out the act in the first
Yeah,
place. And that's when things flip around.
yeah, but I think
And
a lot,
that's scary.
a big part of me, like pop culture used to be able to make fun of each other, right? You can make fun of a black person. You can make fun of a Chinese person. You can make fun of a Japanese person. You can make fun of white people, right? And it removes that like uptightness people have. You know, it's good for you. It's good to laugh. Like, yeah, we're all different. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. But it's like we can laugh at our differences, but not anymore. Now you see someone makes a joke, they have to apologize. It's like 10 years
You
later.
know, it's the problem is people are going to the extreme with the whole anti-racism thing. The reason they're going to the extreme is because we've put it in here in the West. We have it in our minds that even making fun of the differences is a bad thing, and that guilt will only cause more harm in the long run. Unfortunately,
I totally agree. I think we should laugh at our differences. It just because it just makes it everything more comfortable that way.
Well, to
but
also
we should
understand
not use our
what's
differences to purposefully try to hurt one another. The
No,
problem is people don't know how to draw the line themselves. They're not good at drawing the line. So they, instead of just being able to self-govern and whatnot, because people are very bad at it, we have a bad tendency here in the West to say it's either all good or all evil. We
Yeah.
are stuck in the whole black and white
well,
model of good and evil.
the internet
We're
has
so
created some
used,
weird things.
we're so used to, we don't see things in shades of gray.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray out there.
That's one of the downsides to the only downside to the way the Christian world, the only downside the Christian world has, and is that it has resulted in this dichotomy of everything either being all good or all evil. That's due to the fact that most Christians don't consider that there are bad things that are done for the sake of good. They don't think about these things. They're always focused on either it being absolutely good or absolutely evil. They don't think about the in between. They don't want to think about it. And because of that, they're so used to saying, oh, you can't do this because it's bad.
It's not
Or
biblical
do
anyway.
this.
All things
And
work together.
yes, they do. But the problem is that mentality, the reason why that crept into Christianity, it's I know exactly why that crept in. And it's one of the very unfortunate aspects to the influences. Zoroastrianism, at least from the way I understand it, it can be a good thing in its influences, but when you let the dichotomy of good and evil go to its extreme, you end up with problems. And unfortunately, the Catholic Church let that happen.
Well, you talked to Mr. Lizard about that.
Good and evil have really, yeah. People seem to forget that good and evil are not. There are people who do good things that with the intention of leading people astray, and there are people who do evil things with the intention of leading people to the correct path. And you know what? Interestingly enough, sometimes the methods in which someone uses might not be necessarily good, but the end result is much better than had they done the other thing. In fact, this is where shades of gray happen. Our world is not black and white. We have many more colors than that, many more different shades than simply it's either one thing or the other.
Like the whole biblical slavery debate.
I think
the whole what's it called?
There's some
idea of moral pragmatism.
I think there's some shades of Calvinism that really annoy me. Like when they say that if someone's not a Christian, they're not able to do anything good. Like that's a little ridiculous to me. That's not. I don't think that's true. I think that's just like easily falsifiable. You know, they say things like that. So it's like if you really think that someone, a person, couldn't do anything good in this world unless they were a Christian, that I think that could create problems.
What did you think of the movie God Stop Dead?
That's very foolish. Because then are you going to tell me that Are you going to tell me that Abraham was a Christian? Christianity didn't exist yet.
Yeah. No, but
Oh, I didn't mean
as a
Abraham
Calvinist,
Lincoln.
they would say yes. Just he's a believer in God.
You
He's a
get,
follower
but
of
you
God.
see my point as to why that doesn't work. Okay, let me ask you: was the Buddha a Christian? He existed before Christ, and in fact, the
Well,
Buddha was.
Mhm.
There were many good things that came out of Buddhism for a time. Before
Yeah, I don't know.
Christianity, Buddhism was a very good influence on the world for a time.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Buddhism.
You see, the problem is so many people have it in their mind that they want to see things as completely, it's either this way or that way. You can't be in between. There's nothing in between. They really, if there was nothing in between, there would be no reason for the use of the term lukewarm in the Bible, because that is definitely an in-between state. So things are not purely just one thing or the other.
Well, Christ said you're either with me or against me. So
I get that. You're either with me or against me, but you want me to tell you something? There are even people who think they're with him that are actually against him.
yeah, sure. He
So
said that too.
it's not so black and white. And there are some people who don't know they're with him that actually are.
I agree with that too.
So it's not as simple as.
None of it's simple.
So that's the problem. These people want to make things so simple. You know what the book of Proverbs says? It asks, "How long, O ye simple ones, will you love simplicity, and fools hate knowledge?"
If it was so simple, then it would say something. Then the Bible would say something like, "Oh yeah, Behemoth, it's a super ox. Let me walk you through this."
What do you think Behemoth is, Mr. Lizard?
A super ox.
A big ox?
Yeah, a super ox, because the Telding, it made sense at one point, but now after learning something about the euphemistic language, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Actually, the word behemoth, by its very nature, did you know it's actually a plural?
Oh yeah, of course. I was referring to specifically to Tail in the Stones.
Actually, the name behemoth being plural is interesting because
Implies
what the
more than
behemoth
one.
is.
You don't like. I think I was talking to.
It's a dragon.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought it was Elsk. I thought it was Elsk Calf.
What is that guy?
Well, yes, it's a dragon that does have some of the characteristics of a calf. Yes, you're right, but it's technically a dragon. It's
I was
El's dragon.
one guy. He was saying something. It was talking about a bull's balls and stuff like that. I was like, "What are you talking about, bro?" I don't know.
It's the stones.
Yeah.
The stones. Their stones are supposed to be translated as genitalia.
His big balls. Yeah.
And the tail is a euphemism for its you know what.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there.
Well, I just said it. I never said what it exactly. I just said what you can already guess in your head.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that. That's not what it is. It's a dragon.
Well, that's what the ancient Near East scholarship says.
Yeah,
I know what the scholarship says.
Also with the what's it called? Often association with the Lotan that El's calf gets, it kind of starts making more sense if you understand the Lotan.
What the heck is Lotan? What are you talking about?
Lotan, known by the Jews as Leviathan.
Oh, Leviathan. Right.
In the Ugaritic text, when it talks about the Lotan, which is often seen as very much the exact same thing as the Leviathan.
Lotan
in the same part, it's also referenced. Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
right next to it, it's referred to an else calf.
Yeah, El's dragon.
So,
Either way.
Mr. Lizard, do you? So, have you totally embraced this evolution thing?
Freaking praise, redefine living, all the rest of them are making me want to completely.
Praise?
It's the people against evolution
It's
that is
the-
researching evolution in a
Praise?
positive light. Ay, ay,
There,
ay.
Abel explained it.
Praise doesn't. I never even heard. I mean, I heard praise like say evolution's dumb, but I never even heard him try to.
No, Abel just explained it right there.
Yeah, it's because these people are calling it dumb and the way they're doing it that ends up showing him that that's what led him to conclude evolution is correct. Ay,
Yeah.
ay, ay.
Well, I think you're gonna find if you're looking for actual strong arguments, right? You're gonna find that you could go to the intelligent design
Doctor.
people.
Well, I was gonna say, my issue is not just like I was making a joke, but you have praise, Ken Ham, redefine living, Kent Hovind. Who else is there? Give me a second. Nephilim free, so on and so forth.
Yeah, but you'd have to be specific about what arguments because they make decent arguments. You might not like them, but I'd like to see you just
And
defeat
then
the
also
argument
with the,
instead of just say, "Oh, instead of just
You
talking
know,
well,
about
like I said, one seems more
me,
logical than the other because of it.
Yeah, but like if you take someone,
honestly,
you could go. You go, Abel. Go ahead.
I think the whole thing of evolution, to me, I don't agree with evolution, but I can say that I think the things that the places where they think are missing links, I think what's missing here is the changes in the design. I think God purposefully changes the design in certain instances, and because of those changes, it looks like there should be missing links. And that's what they're looking for. But in fact, they won't find it. Why? Because I don't think those quote unquote missing links were ever actually created in the first place.
Yeah,
I
there
think
is no.
that's what's happened.
Yeah, all the missing links are missing because there's no links. That's the thing. You're right.
No,
There is no.
there. What I'm getting at is those links, those quote unquote missing links, show us exactly when aspects of the design which God was using changed and why. And I think that's what's going on here. There was an evolution in this, but it wasn't evolution in the way that the evolutionists are trying to say it was.
If you say
I think
experimental,
the
I'm gonna
design
get
that
mad.
God was using, he
Yeah,
changed it and he further developed it. And
yeah,
that
I
is
totally
what's
agree with
going
that.
on.
I
I think
take
that's
it. I think God created it good. Okay. I think we're falling apart. And I think that's evident. I think that's like self-evident. Diseases, cancer. How many? Look at the extinction rate.
Trump. I had to make that joke. Sorry, I don't like Trump.
well, actually,
I know
there is
most
evidence
people
of
probably here do like
evolution
him.
within viruses and bacteria. There is evidence of that, which does
Well, it depends what
suggest
you mean by
something.
evolution. It depends what you mean. I mean, yeah,
Well,
Or
people.
also there's the
Animals
different
adapt.
definitions. You have
Animals adapt.
um.
No doubt. That's true.
Well, then
we
there's
have
also the differences between Darwinian evolution, Neo-Darwinian evolution, Evo-Devo, niche evolution, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
there are
here's
different.
my beef: is universal common ancestry. I think is blatantly false. The idea that God created some kind of single cellular organism and then it just evolved into us, into everything, actually.
I mean, if you think of it, he could have like completely guided the entire practice,
He could
factually
have.
going from a
He could have.
Christian standpoint.
He neglected to really mention it, but he could have. Sure.
Well, then
Well,
again, God
actually,
doesn't mention everything in the Bible.
No,
That's
of course
also
not.
that thing.
He tells us what we need to know.
Yeah, what we need to know. In fact, there is something interesting though within Genesis. Now that because we ended up talking about creation, it reminded me of something else in Genesis that most people miss. How much do you know about the dragon goddess Tiamat? How much do you know about her?
Tiamat? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Tiamat.
Mesopotamian. Fought
Yes,
Marduk.
Mesopotamian. Yes.
Yeah.
Probably a parallel to the Lotan and Leviathan.
Well, actually, no. I'm actually going to show you something in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 to 2. That's odd. Okay, let's work at this from the Old Testament. Let's not deal with the New Testament for a moment. I just want to focus on the Old Testament. And you're going to see something interesting.
Don't want to look at it, huh? Then what?
Okay, when was water created? That's my question.
I don't know. I have to address Jubilees and what's it called? The Song of Solomon. Wait, not Song of Solomon.
When was water created? When was water created?
No, it says that God created everything in the beginning.
Okay, yeah, but I'm asking you, where does it say water was created? And there's actually a trick question here. It's a trick question.
Well, I'm the nut who believes Jubilees is canonical, so I say after God created it.
Okay. The reason why it's a trick question is because water is used both literally and symbolically within ancient Near Eastern writings.
Yeah, sure.
It symbolizes primordial existence. Water has been used to symbolize the primordial existence.
Yeah,
and that's
we're getting all Dr. Michael Heiser up in here.
Yeah, no, but that's
the
like
reason why this is so interesting.
That's every pagan religion.
The reason why this is so interesting.
Primordial waters. Yeah.
There is actually no verse in the Bible that explicitly states that God created water, and there's a reason for that.
Look backstage.
Especially when you're thinking about things.
Backstage.
Yeah. Who's backstage?
Jess.
Oh, Jess. Hello.
Greetings.
Hello there. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, what's up?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Welcome.
Are you gonna? Thank you.
Sorry.
Are you gonna compare Tiamat water with the Jewish term water?
Well, I'm gonna deal with there is a connection, but that's actually it's going to take a moment to.
I just read a great big book on that, and there's no relationship.
Yeah, wait a minute. I'm going to explain something. There is no direct relationship with the words themselves, but there's something interesting going on here.
Okay, good.
First off, the word for water in Hebrew is mayim. Okay? Mayim. Interestingly enough, the word for water in Hebrew is always plural. That's the first thing to note.
Wait a minute. I thought.
Isn't it Tamoh? Something like that?
I don't remember because I was actually about to make a joke.
The word that
I was trying to make a joke, but nobody got it.
But
the word that people would try to relate to Tiamat would be the word for the abyss.
The abuso.
The word where it says that and darkness was hovering over the face of the abyss. The word abyss there would be
hovering over the face of the abyss. I thought it was the Holy Spirit.
There are two. First, we have darkness hovering over the face of the abyss, and then the Spirit of God hovering over the face of the water.
Yeah.
Actually, the word, it isn't darkness isn't hovering. Sorry, it's upon the face of the abyss. That's what it actually says.
Mm-hmm. So.
The interesting thing to note is, if you pay very close attention to what's going on with the whole formless and void thing, it's actually quite interesting because if you look at this some Mesopotamian myth, um, Tiamat is killed, and then from Tiamat you get the earth is created from Tiamat. That's the
Yeah,
story. And
he's split in two.
yeah, Tiamat was split in two. Yes.
That's important. Yeah.
But interestingly, the concept here, there is, you have to remember that in the ancient Near East, just because words don't have an etymological root that connects the two, it was very common in the ancient Near East to conflate words that sounded alike, especially when their meanings are very similar and when they are associated together with in the same kind of context. And the abyss in Genesis chapter 1 verse 2 and Tiamat have an interesting connection in terms of their role. And
Yeah,
that's
their
what's
role.
interesting about this story.
Because Tiamat was split, and the same as splitting the waters from the in Genesis 1, right? Separating the waters.
That's an interesting thing. Yes,
above
that
from
is
below.
interesting. But what's more interesting is the fact that the blood of Tiamat was seen to be the waters, and the flesh of Tiamat became the land, basically. So what we have here,
But wait, the land didn't come until later.
yes, but where did it rise out of? Wait a minute.
I know, I'm making a joke.
I get ya. So the whole, but what's interesting is the creation ex nihilo, that idea, you don't get that idea until we're into the New Testament. If you're looking at things from the earliest
Unless you look
ancient Near Eastern mindset,
Jubilees.
I'm not dealing with Jubilees. We can throw Jubilees out for a moment. That's not in my Bible. Well, it's not my primary canon. So let's not deal with that for a moment.
Fine,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, this
We'll
guy
take
wants
at
to go
least
to
one
the
from the
extra
Catholic.
biblical.
Okay, we'll just take one from out of the Catholic canon. Which one is that one called? If Solomon something?
We're not, wait, you want to go with the wisdom of Solomon?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I know. We're not dealing with the. I like the wisdom of Solomon, yes, but we're not dealing with that at this moment because
Oh, I see how
by
it
the time of
is.
Solomon, we do know that Jewish theology had radically changed, especially the understanding of these things within the Jewish mind had changed. What I'm dealing with is how the earliest Jews interpreted the text.
A lot of scholars argue that it's a polemic against the pagans, basically.
Well,
So they
yes, it is a
take the
polemic.
pagan ideas and they they make Yahweh, they pretty much
With the whole breaking the heads of Leviathan,
yeah.
primordial
Yes,
chaos
it is.
water dragon.
Well, it's an odd thing because I'm gonna explain something very odd that's going on in this text, and it's crazy once you start breaking this down. Because at first, there is elements of this that is very polemical. I'll admit that, but it's polemical for reasons that most of the people who try to say it's a polemic don't quite understand the reason for this polemic. I don't think. I think their reasoning behind the polemic is where they make the mistake. Something else entirely is going on here. Something very interesting is going on. But it's clear it's a polemic. I have no problem admitting it's a polemic. Because that's not the thing that's going on that's interesting. What you have, there's another reason why this whole polemic thing is very interesting. Because let's look, for example, at the Ancient of Days for a moment, and the one who cometh upon the clouds. That also is a very polemical imagery.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
yeah. Ugaritic text. Yes.
The Book of Daniel has that polemic of the son, one like the Son of Man coming upon the clouds. That's actually, if you understand who cometh upon the clouds in the ancient Near East, you realize there's something else going on here. And then the title of Ancient of Days is another red flag. Most Jews and
Ball
Christians
cycle.
don't notice.
That's the ball cycle.
You're right.
Isn't it?
There is a connection to Baal. There's Baal Hadad. There's a connection. But what I'm getting at here is, do you know another name?
There
for
we go.
El
Now I
in-
remember to dig for Beelzebub. Now I can tell Target again.
Let's not deal with Beelzebub right now. He's not here.
Hey,
Mr. Lizard put a comment in here. So it's not people, is it? Water,
with the
water
whole
being the people.
yeah,
That's what-
there's an issue because he keeps on saying that, so I just went ahead and did a couple of research on compared both Hebrew and Greek together to do Septuagint and the Hebrew I could grab a hold of and take a look at all the times water's mentioned. And
Yeah,
there's a couple times where it says water only, and a couple times where they say water as in plural.
yeah.
Not all of them add up.
He takes
Yeah.
he takes one
Also-
verse he takes one verse and spreads it over the whole
Yeah.
all the mentions.
You're talking about Richard?
Okay.
That comment that's there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I wanted to get into here about the whole
Yeah.
the name for the Ancient of Days. Do you know where that name originates from? And what's interesting about it? There's another name amongst the Canaanites that's very interesting. The chief god, whose name is also El, he is called the Father of Years. Did you know that? And in fact, did you know that the word for day and years and the word for days in Hebrew can also mean years? Interesting. That's very interesting.
Do you mean Yom?
I
Yom.
read that
It's
I
Yom.
read the first chapter of Genesis as God's time anyway. That's how I see it. It's not our
Well-
time, it's God's time.
Yeah, I know. What I'm dealing with here, though, is interesting. In the book of Daniel, there's something odd. Because we have one who's called the Ancient of Days. That character is very interesting. Because if you know anything about the ancient Near East, that name reminds people of only one person. If you talk to any non-Jew in the ancient Near East, that name would only bring to mind one person. And that's El. And that's why that's an important name. But wait a minute. If that's El, who's the one riding upon the clouds? It isn't El. Who is it? Interesting. We know what the Jews would have called him. He would be called Yahweh. But we also know what the other nations would call him. Do you guys know?
No.
Baal. That's the Baal cycle.
His name would have been Hadad. Yes, he would be called Baal, but there's more than one Baal, and that's the problem.
Right.
That's why I'm
Right.
trying to avoid using the name Baal.
Right.
Baal Hadad, yes. I don't want to use just Baal because
There's
causes
many of them,
confusion with Baal Amun, and Baal Amun is the Baal
Right.
that Elijah was having trouble with.
Well, Baal just means Lord anyway, right?
Yes, and remember that passage where here's something funny. The fact that they translate Yahweh as Lord is very funny because Remember where Isaiah said, well, was it Isaiah or was it Elijah? It was Elijah. He says, either worship, if the Lord is God, worship him, or if the Lord is God, worship him. Because Baal literally means Lord. You get the joke? Ay, ay, ay. So that translation is, that's why you don't translate titles and names. That's why. Because if you do that, you end up having a verse where there's two lords, one being one person and the other being another. Ay,
Yeah,
ay, ay.
that's another thing about Richard. I was trying to. He'll take like a title, like Christ is first begotten of the dead, right? He'll take that title and like try to twist it into like in translating it. I'm like, no, no, no. It's a title. Okay. It's not like he's trying to make it, you know what I mean? He's trying to like translate it into like that's, like Jesus was the firstborn of the dead. Like that's not, it's not what it means.
And also, the term firstborn has a very different usage in ancient Near Eastern texts than it does in our English.
Yeah, it's like chief over, head of, you know,
Yes.
I know
the
when I
man in
started bringing
charge.
up the whole when I started bringing up the whole parallel between the Ugaritic and the whole Leviathan thing, it kind of threw him off. Does he have like anything specific he says about the Leviathan?
But you want me to tell you another reason why Jesus is a very interesting character to me, especially when the fact that he is associated with the Cloud Rider.
The son of man.
Yes, but there's another thing. Do you know another way to? There's another way to translate Baal that most Christians don't use and don't know about. It can also be translated as groom or bridegroom. That's an interesting thing.
I never
All
heard
the parallels are very odd.
it. Yeah, but I don't know. I think Daniel is using the imagery of where he was, right?
Well, actually, there's actually a problem with that, a very big problem. Um, and the biggest issue I have with looking at it that way is the idea of one like the Son of Man coming upon the clouds. If we're dealing with the Canaanites or whatnot, yes, that would be very clearly a dud. However, the place he wasn't he in Babylon at the time?
Yeah, I think so.
There were a number of gods that were associated with the clouds in Babylon. And that's a very big issue because, interestingly enough, in Babylon, do you know how many gods that are associated with the clouds that can be related with man and also have a connection with the word groom? Only one. And his name is Adad, which is actually interesting because it's actually it's another form of the name Hadad. So regardless of where you go in the ancient world, there's obviously a connection between the character of Jesus and Hadad. And that I find to be the most intriguing thing. Interestingly, did you know, according to the Ugaritic text, we have Bel Hadad descending into hell to fight Mot. And there are two versions of the story, in fact, and that's what's funny. one version where he ends up getting saved by his sister, but another story in which he defeats death. And these are
I
two
think we kind of
parallel
got lost.
versions. Huh?
I think we kind of got a bit off topic.
The topic I'm trying to focus on is the connection here between Baal and Jesus.
I know it's supposed to be having to do with Tiamat and
Water.
Genesis.
Well, Tiamat is interesting because actually Tiamat actually connects with this. If you're going with the Sumerian story, do you know who, in the oldest version of the story, do you know who it was that defeats Tiamat?
Marduk?
The older version of the story, not the later, the earliest
Which
version.
one is this one?
Originally, the story was Baal defeating Tiamat. It was originally Baal, Hadad, who defeats Tiamat. The later version has the story rewritten to have Marduk defeat Tiamat. That's what's interesting about this. There are two gods in the Canaanite pantheon who have overlapping imagery with Yahweh. Two different gods have overlapping imagery. One being Elyon or El, and we have Baal Hadad. These two different gods, their imageries are also used of Yahweh, which is very interesting because they're father and son.
Are you sure it's that hard? Which one is it called? The oldest one?
I'll have to find it for you, but I'm pretty darn sure about that.
Because I ain't getting anything but Marduk, the storm god.
You're saying it had a name Yahweh?
No, I'm saying there's a connection between Yahweh and El and Hadad. There's a connection between El and Hadad and Yahweh. There's a connection between those gods. One that most people miss.
I don't recall a Mesopotamian one called Hadad or something.
How do I spell Tiamat again?
Where the gods meet is Moses being in Midian with the priests, right? He marries into a family, and I forget his name. Jacob? No.
Aaron?
The priest. Who?
I was trying to think of, you said Moses, I just thought Aaron.
No, his wife's father was a priest in Midian. And this is where these gods meet, right there. So when Moses brings the people out, because he spent 40 years in Midian, and then he brings the people out of Egypt, this is where the two gods meet, and they say, yeah, that's our God, Yahweh.
Jeroth?
Yahweh, yeah, that's our God. What's his name?
Jeroth called a priest of Midian to become father-in-law of Moses.
Yeah. So that's where the gods meet, and they go, yeah, that's our God, and that's where they continue on with the monotheism right there of the one God, right?
Yeah.
No?
I really don't like having to relook through the I really hate ancient Babylonian religion. It's really irritating me.
Maybe you're thinking Assyrian. Or
Maybe I'm
Akkadian,
thinking. I do know that there's another. What was there was another. I don't know if I'm thinking of. I know that Tiamat is not unique to the Babylonian myth, but has a different name in another culture.
Where's-
I just don't know if I'm mixing them up.
Atrahasis? In the Atrahasis?
No, I'm thinking of ancient Near Eastern.
where does Dogon? What's that one?
Dogon. What was
He's
Dogon?
Dagon.
The grain
Dagon.
You
god.
want to know about
Dagon.
Dagon,
Isn't
the
that-
god of grain?
No, he's like half fish.
Wait,
He's represented like a
Dagon,
half
the god
fish.
of grain, or Dagon, the god of fish? Which one? The fish god or the grain god?
I
Which
like the
Dagon?
fish guy. That's an old one. That's an old god though.
There,
He's changed
there are
names
actually
like 10 times.
different versions of Dagon.
Yeah. Yeah, but
All you can think of was
I watched something
You
where
know-
where they say like that the Dagon Dogon, whatever his name is, that I mean I watched a thing where they showed how he changed over the years, but that's an ancient god that people worship.
Are you sure you're not getting it confused where you're thinking that Marduk is Baal because the legend with what's it called, Marduk versus Tiamat basically still mirrors the whole Leviathan thing and all that and Lotan thing, because in the Canaanite Uritic text we have Baal Hadad, as you're saying, fighting against the Lotan to kill it and also killing El's calf, while in the Sumerian text we have Marduk, who also happens to be a storm god, fighting against Tiamat.
Right.
No, I'm looking for it. I'll find it eventually. Where is it? It's not available. Why? One second. What was it? Marduk. I truly hate dealing with the god Marduk. He's annoying. During the first millennium of BC, the Babylonians worshipped a deity under the name Baal, meaning Lord, who was a synchronization of Marduk, Enlil, and the dying god Demuzid. The Baal held all the cultic titles of Enlil. His status is... Okay, I figured out what's going on here. This is why I need to be more careful with the different Baals. I should have been paying more attention to the different Baals. Did you know Marduk was also called Baal? This is why I hate the Babylonian gods. There we go. I figured out why I'm getting so frustrated with the Babylonian gods. Wiley, I figured it out.
Oh dang, no, the whole time I was speaking, and I was muted. I was trying to say, you dare call me by that name again?
I mean, oh, sorry.
Nobody, but it all went down the drain because I was making a joke about it, and I was also talking about how everybody makes mistakes when you said that you basically made a mistake.
I made a mistake, but there's an interesting thing about this mistake. Do you know why it's interesting?
Explain yourself.
Well, because there is a connection between Marduk and Hadad, but that connection was due to the conflation of the two gods.
I mean, they do seem to have the exact same story. With the whole finding a chaos water dragon and all that.
Do you remember the Bel Amun, in fact, was later associated with Marduk. Interestingly, and there's a reason for that. But remember the book called Bel and the Dragon? You remember that?
That one. Are you talking about
Do you know?
from the Catholic? You mean from the Catholic canon?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought we
Yes.
weren't talking about the Catholic canon or any of that stuff, huh?
Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to bring up the Catholic canon. I'm only bringing up this book because it's something interesting here. Did you know that the Bel
but I don't
there
really care
is
about
actually
those
Marduk?
books.
That's Marduk. That book where it says Bel, it's actually talking about Marduk. I didn't know that. That's what I just realized. Wow. I thought that was Bel Amun, but there's an overlap between these two gods.
Wait,
I find
if there's supposed to be an overlap here, does that mean Daniel killed a Leviathan?
No, Daniel did not kill any Leviathan.
I mean, he killed a dragon in that story.
Yeah, a dragon. That's not the. That's not the dragon.
I never said the Leviathan. I said a Leviathan.
A Leviathan. You can't say a Leviathan because Leviathan, by its very nature, is plural. He might have killed a Lotan, which is a singular word, but he didn't kill a Leviathan, which is a plural word.
Wait, I thought Lotan. I thought Leviathan is both singular and plural, just like Behemoth.
It's complicated. It's a very complicated thing.
I got my eye on you. Is Daniel Lubitsky even still here?
I don't know, but
Mr. Lizard, do you want to? Oh, sorry.
I find it funny that there's so much overlap between the different storm gods and gods that have the title Baal that it's very difficult to tell them apart without truly knowing what's going on. It's a headache.
What are you about to say?
You interested in that book on waters, Genesis Waters?
Oh, which one?
It's about the waters in Genesis.
Probably.
Would you be interested in that?
Yeah, especially with the whole, like I talked about ancient Near East stuff, which is helpful with this kind of information.
Yeah, sure. I'll share it with you if you want on your Discord.
That'd be nice.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, if you see a couple weird what's it called? Images in my Discord and under Christians I don't know, it's because me and Todd were having a conversation about something, and I was giving him visuals so he knew what I talked about. I just didn't know where to post it.
Yeah, that's okay. You guys have some funny conversations. They're only part conversations in there, so I realize that. Yeah.
This one was
Jesse.
insane, but we're gonna make something of it.
Yeah, that's okay.
Now I'm looking for. You know what's funny? Whenever I'm looking for something, I can never find it. But when I'm not looking, that's when I find it. Ay.
Jesse, how you been, man? I haven't
Funny.
talked to you in a while.
What's that, Dan?
I said, how have you been? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah. Well, I've been okay, I guess. Yeah.
Good.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been dealing with Mr. Lizard trolling every day.
Oh, have you?
Not really. No, but he comes on to Jill's streams, all arrogant and childish. Yeah, you do, Mr. Lizard. And he purposely says rude things to see if he could get kicked off. Why don't you speak to that, Mr. Lizard? Jill gave him a wrench, and he's like a kid in a candy store.
Is he?
Hey, I posted in the private chat a picture of me. Tell me what you think of that picture.
I'll look later. But
I don't
What's
see any pictures, so. Oh,
I was there.
You don't.
It's
You don't.
it's a
I got
it should have a picture there. Let me see.
You don't have an
Where's the
eyebrow like
picture?
that. You don't have eyebrows like that.
you got a beard like that, Abel?
That's me in a past life.
Why do you look different now?
Reincarnation, different genes.
Don't you just love when you're speaking, but you wonder why nobody's acknowledging you, and then you realize you're muted?
Yeah.
I was trying to say I don't even want the wrench. I don't even know how I got it.
Yeah.
That happens to me when I'm not muted.
That's funny.
I find it funny that people keep forgetting they mute themselves all the time. That's funny to me.
Well, if I don't mute every once in a while, you get to hear my dog. You get to hear all kinds of stuff.
I get that, but still, I don't get why people mute themselves and then forget.
Yeah.
It happens to me too, but I just don't get why that happens. It's like, huh?
I'm amazed I could even
Oh,
figure
wow.
out how to get on the computer. You kidding me?
Wait a minute, there's someone backstage. I'm gonna post their name so people can tell me if they know this person because I don't want to let in some rando right now. I'm scared.
Let me see. No idea.
No clue.
Watashiba?
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm from
He's from
Turkish.
Okay. Something's odd about this person. I don't
That's
think
like,
I should let them in.
whatever. I wouldn't even worry about it.
Maybe I should and see what they do.
We need a little Sunday entertainment. Let's go.
Let's see.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
It's that person from earlier.
How's it
Yeah,
going?
let's see what they have. Let's see what they're going to do this time.
What'd they do last time?
Hey, dude. I say the one thing is Turkish president. You know Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
Okay.
This is dictator.
This is the what?
Dictator.
The dictator of Turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about him? That's you?
Dictator world, not Turkey world.
Dictator of the world. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Turkish people's very stupid.
Why are they stupid?
Why are people calling other people stupid?
Who knows?
Seriously.
That was just weird. That's all that was.
Yeah, it's so off topic. I'm kicking this guy.
But can you imagine like waking up in Turkey and being like, oh, I know what I want to do today. Let's go on Abel's stream and ramble. I don't know, it's just so weird.
Yeah, why are they coming to bug the son of Adam? Why
Probably-
are they coming here to bug me?
How did they
It's probably-
find you? How did they?
It's-
I know what it is. If you someone wrote this the other day. If you post your the link in the description, it's searchable that way, and then people could they just look it up, and then they'll bomb your stream.
Is
Well,
that
Actually-
if they want to bomb my stream, they can bomb my stream. But you know what?
That's what it is, though. If you post it in the description, that's where like random people find you.
Maybe I should stop doing that, huh?
Nah, whatever.
I actually wonder if it's actually
Hey, they're
just.
funny sometimes.
I was gonna
At
say, I
least
wonder if
they're
it's
funny
actually
this
just people
time.
trying to troll you after what you said about what's it called, Islam.
Well, I learned something new while studying Islam.
Islam. Ugh.
Apparently, the original Muhammad was actually Jesus Christ and not their stupid make-believe guy from the Hadith.
That makes absolutely no sense, Abel.
It actually does. When you look at, here's what's interesting. If you look at the earliest stone inscriptions about Muhammad, it will actually make more sense.
I don't
Because
know.
Muhammad isn't a name, it's a title. And it literally means the praised one.
I mean, I find the story kind of convincing. Like he was some guy. He got like possessed by a demon in a cave.
Well,
Came
all
out.
of those stories you're talking about are actually far too late, firstly. Secondly, the Muhammad of the Quran is not the Muhammad of the Hadith. Those are two very different characters. Muhammad is only used 4 times in the Quran, and in each of those instances is actually a title. I'm going to put in the private chat a verse from the Quran that I think you'll find intriguing.
Because the Quran has some pretty evil teachings in it.
The Quran is actually kind of funny when you actually break down what the Quran is really saying. It's kind of a joke.
Well, are Jews and Christians the worst of all creatures?
Well, first off, there are 2 different words for Jews in the Quran, and there's also 2 different words for Christians in the Quran, interestingly enough. But that's besides the point. First off, here's a verse that I think you'll find interesting. If you read this, I think that will be interesting to you. What that has to say about Jesus is intriguing.
They take their rabbis and their monks for lords rather than Allah. And what, Maryam?
That says Al-Masih ibn Maryam, or the Messiah, son of Mary.
Oh, okay. But they are bidden to worship only God alone. There is no God but Him.
But wait a minute, did you catch that? How many lords are there?
Yeah, I know.
Did you catch that? So if there are 2 lords, but they're bidden to worship but one God, wait a minute, what does that mean with the 2 lords? What are they?
Jesus
they are the
God.
one God.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting.
That's Surah 9.
Isn't that a thing against the Trinity? Like that. That's why they
actually
put that in.
That kind of supports the Trinity, actually. At least that.
Right.
Yeah, it does. And actually, the thing against the Trinity, the verse that talks against the Trinity, is actually against the heretics who were basically making who in Arabia at the time were saying that Mary was a member of the Trinity.
Yeah, I didn't understand what that meant. I thought it was just saying Allah and Mary, but I didn't know it said son of Mary. Oh.
Okay, here's another thing. Read this carefully.
And those who believe and do good deeds and believe in what was revealed about Muhammad, and he is the truth from their Lord, who has atoned for their sins and set them right. Wait, that's
Wait a minute. Now let's translate the word Muhammad, because it actually means the praised one. Read it, but now say praised one instead of Muhammad, and tell me who it sounds like. Uh-oh. You see what's going on here, don't you?
Yeah, but you know what? Muslims argue that you can have your you could have your sins forgiven, yes, but not that someone else could atone for your sins. Like they straight out deny that.
So wait, who atoned for their sins?
It says Muhammad.
Oh, wait a minute. It says the praised one. Who's the praised one?
Well, I know who my praised one is, but them?
Actually, according to the 7th century Muslims, the praised one was Jesus in the 7th century, which was before the Hadith. The Hadith are all fabrications.
Okay, I gotta get going. I'll see y'all later.
See ya, Mr. Lizard.
Yeah, my biggest problem with this is I never even heard these arguments out of like David Wood.
You know why David Wood doesn't bring up these arguments?
Why?
David Wood is acting from the perspective of, okay, let's say there is a Prophet Muhammad. If there's a Prophet Muhammad, here's all the bad things about him. And he is using the Hadith mostly. If you look at J. Smith, for example, and you'll see more problems with the narrative on if Muhammad actually existed or not. But if you actually look into the Quran itself and actually are focusing solely on the Quran, you find out that the Muhammad of the Quran is definitely not the Muhammad of the Hadith. They're two different beings, firstly. Secondly, this comes from a Judeo-Gnostic interpretation on. It's actually, Islam was born of different groups. Firstly, one of them was a Judeo-Gnostic group, and Judeo-Gnosticism is very different than Christian Gnosticism, mind you. In Christian Gnosticism, you have the demiurge who created the evil physical world. You don't have that in Judeo-Gnosticism, which is one of the bigger differences. And in fact, when you compare the two, you find that these two different Islam arised from a Christian Gnostic group turning into a Judeo-Gnostic group without removing some of the negative aspects of the demiurge from the God Allah, which is kind of why the God Allah is a big mess in the way he acts.
Yeah, Allah's a chump.
But there are actually two Allahs in the Quran.
Yeah, I never heard that either.
There's a reason for that. These two Allahs are being conflated with one another. One of them is a Gnostic Christian version of Allah. The other is a Gnostic Jewish version of Allah. Two different versions of God being overlapped because the people who were writing the Quran, their beliefs changed midway through the Quran. And that's why it's so messed up.
Yeah, I'd love to see you convince a Muslim of this. Right.
Yeah, convincing them would be very difficult.
Yeah. I mean,
that's why it's easier just to send them to David Wood, because if their prophet is real and their prophet is the prophet of the Hadith, let David Wood handle them. If they're Quran only, then let me handle them and I'll help them along, because Quran only Muslims are much easier to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give I'll give it to the Muslims that they are devoted. Many of them, I give them that.
A Quran only Muslim has one problem though. If they're Quran only, I can prove to them from the Quran alone that the Bible is the inspired, authoritative word of God. If I do that and they're Quran only, that means they
Yeah.
now have to accept the Bible too. And do you know the problem with that?
Yeah, it contradicts the Quran. So
Actually, it contradicts the Quran if you're reading the Quran as it is written. There's a problem though. The Quran, if you often when you let's for example the death of Jesus in the Quran. Did you know according to the Quran Jesus actually did die?
I don't know. I forgot. I watched something. I think David Wood posted about it, but I thought that it was like the Muslims argue that Allah like they switched Jesus out or something for another god.
That's from the Hadith. You're again going with the Hadith. You see, that's the funny thing. All the problems Islam has today seems to be a result of them using the Hadith.
Yeah, but according to David Wood and many other people, the Quran
yes, because they're focusing on the Islam of today. They're focusing on modern Islam.
No, but they
which
say the Quran,
modern Islam uses the Hadith. So if the Hadith are true,
they said the Quran's such a mess. You need the Hadith. It's because you can't interpret it.
Actually,
right.
You can. It's just the problem is, it's the same issue that we have with You know how the Jews are talking about an oral Torah and whatnot.
Yeah.
When you understand
the Talmud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the Talmud, the oral Torah. It's a different thing entirely. But when you actually understand what's going on with the Quran, there's something very odd. Something very odd is going on in the Quran that people miss. They very much miss it. First off, John the Baptist. Here's what's said about him. The Quran says, peace was upon him the day he was born, the day he shall die, and the day he shall be raised again. Okay? That's about John the Baptist. Now, Jesus in the cradle says this of himself. Peace was upon me the day I was born, the day I shall die, and the day I shall be raised again. Wait a minute. Did you catch it? What did Jesus in the cradle, according to the Quran, prophesy? Did you catch it?
He'll raise again.
He would die and be raised again.
Yeah, but they believe everything. So
that's a very big problem for the
for their
modern Muslim.
Yeah, it's for their arguments. It is. But
then here's another thing.
They accept the
Jesus, while talking with Allah, says this. When he's talking with Allah and says, and Allah is asking him a question, and here's what Jesus responds. I was not among them because you caused me to die. Wait a minute. Huh? When did Jesus die again?
Huh.
And then another verse where Allah speaking to says, I shall cause you to die. Wait a minute. Now let's go back to the Garden of Gethsemane in the Bible. Whose will was it that Jesus was to die? See what's going on here?
Yeah, but I mean, don't get me wrong.
Where it says they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him. It's the Jews speaking. Do the Jews have the authority to crucify someone?
No.
So who killed Jesus?
What's that? We'll see.
Not the Jews, the Romans. Legalistically speaking, it was the Romans who killed Jesus.
Yeah.
Not the Jews.
Romans.
And the Quran is speaking of this legalistically. Oddly enough. So basically, it's just saying that the Jews are not the ones who killed Jesus.
No, they were chanting crucify.
Yes, they were, but they legalistically speaking, they could not be Legalistically, they cannot be held accountable. Although, if just because they're not legalistically responsible for the death of Christ, they are technically and indirectly responsible for him being given over to the Romans.
Yeah.
Which is why the Quran in that passage was trying to build a bridge between the followers of Jesus and the Jews of that time. But oddly enough, the way they did it, if you don't know what's going on in the context, you really are going to get lost and confused. The Quran is basically a commentary that you don't know what verse is commentating on what thing from the other texts. That's really what's going on with the Quran.
I don't know. It's the holy speech of it's the eternal speech of Allah.
Actually, no, the Quran isn't the eternal speech. Okay, I shouldn't say the Quran isn't, because this is actually this is a double-edged sword of the Quran. The word Quran in the Quran is not talking about the Quran we have today. The word Quran is the Arabic equivalent to the Hebrew word Mikra. Okay? The Mikra
Midrash.
is an older name for the Tanakh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, then
and it means the recitation.
Yeah, it's like a midrashic interpretation. Yeah.
The Mikra is an older name for the Tanakh, but in fact, the word Mikra can also include the New Testament. So wait a minute. The eternal speech of Allah then is not the thing that they're calling the Quran today. No, it's what? The Bible. The Quran is actually calling the Bible the Quran. That's the joke. Muslims don't get it because they have the names have changed. So they're missing it. That's the big joke.
Yeah, well.
And this all would have made sense to anyone who was a Muslim in the 7th century. But by the 9th, 10th century, most of this information was forgotten.
Like any good thing, you got to take it and, use it to murder and slaughter and enslave people. So.
But if you actually piece things back together, you realize, wait a minute, the current Muslims are not true Muslims. You know what they are? If I follow the line of reasoning from the Quran itself, and therefore also the Bible, the current Muslims are actually the synagogue of Satan. In the 9th and 10th century, did you know that the Muslims were claiming to be replacements of the Jews? They were claiming to be the Jews, basically.
Look like God's people, I guess, kind of thing.
Yeah, they were claiming to be Jews, but they weren't. What is that called? Oh, the synagogue of Satan. Did you catch what's going on here?
It's interesting.
If you pay attention to what the Quran really says and actually break it down and realize the connection between the Quran and the Bible, you realize the people that claim to be following the Quran today really aren't. They're following the Hadith. Oh, what are the Hadith? They're traditions of men. You see what's going on here? Everything that the modern Muslims claim, both the Bible and the Quran together condemn them.
Well,
that's the joke.
The Talmud, that's kind of like the modern Jew, who just uses the Talmud more than the.
Actually, the Talmud contradicts itself in many different occasions. Why? Because the Talmud is basically the writings of different Jews debating one another.
Yeah, it's like commentary.
Yeah, they
So
The-
some
the-
Jews saw the Goyim as being terrible. So the Talmud has that written in there. But the Talmud has different Jews that saw the Goyim as not being terrible. So they also have things in there that are positive about the Goyim, the Gentiles. So the Talmud is a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's a
So
their
unless you
view of it.
truly dig your So unless you truly dig around in the Talmud and try to grasp what is going on in the Talmud, and you're not, if you're just going to skim through it, don't even bother with the Talmud because you're just going to end up becoming confused and not know what's going on in the Talmud. Because the Talmud
way-
is very confusing already. It's
Yeah, the way they view the scriptures is, okay, we have word of God here, so what does it mean? So this is what the Talmud's all about, right? Talmudic.
Yeah, the Talmud is about breaking down the scriptures and it's debates between different Jews in the Talmud itself. It's a writing of their debates
Absolutely.
and their
Yes.
arguments.
Midrashic interpretations. Yes,
Yeah, and actually that's what the Quran is. It's a midrash.
it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But there. I watched a video. I mean, it was pretty like almost. It was like borderline racist almost, but it was like it's basically describing the Talmud and saying that it came out of an oral tradition. And I guess the story is that it started when Moses was on the mountain and the Jews were sitting down at the bottom. Basically, the people who followed Moses, they weren't really Jews yet, right? So that they started the Talmud basically.
Actually, did you know there's more than one Talmud?
See, they think the binding of Isaac was Ishmael.
That's actually the earliest Muslims did not think that. The later Muslims did. It's actually very, very complicated as to what's going on in the Quran, and it's complicated because the Quran doesn't give enough details on these stories. So unless you know the actual story from the Bible, you are left with a whole bunch of things that don't make sense, and then you end up going to the Hadith. Oh, that's where you learn it's Isaac. I mean, that's where you learn it's Ishmael. But and that the Jews think it was Isaac, and what the heck is wrong with the bloody Hadith? It's a mess. It's a bloody
Well,
mess.
yeah, but don't the Muslims get like some of their teachings about Jesus from like Gnostic scripts and stuff like that? Like like later century books from the Gnostics.
Well, actually, it's more complicated than that.
I mean, the way
Because some
David
of
Wood
the
puts it is that when Muhammad was going around robbing people, that basically he picked up stories as he went, and he would go and
okay,
debate. You know what I mean? He would go debate the Bible, and he would try to spread his whatever his teachings.
okay, let me deal with that claim about Gnostic texts for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
The texts the Quran borrowed from are not Gnostic. However, these texts are extra biblical, and that is. But there's another thing to note about these texts. If you actually pay attention to, for example, the story of the birds made from clay,
There you go.
that actually is not a Gnostic story. It comes from the Proto-Evangelium of James, which the Catholics originally, which Catholics used to prove that Mary was born sinless by because God purified Mary so that she could give birth to a pure son, basically. And the early Catholics did use this text It was used by early Christians, although there is evidence that it is late. But, however, what seems to be the case is that it originates from oral tradition rather than being a Gnostic text. It isn't Gnostic. It's most likely the result of oral tradition, which is usually where the stories in the Quran come from. Oddly enough, they originate with oral traditions. And that's the big thing that's very confusing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think books were a popular thing, over 1,000 years ago. So not everyone
Interestingly
could just get a
enough,
hold of it like today.
the Proto-Evangelium of James, according to that book, technically Jesus is still God.
Yeah, I don't know really. I don't know much about the book. I know the story with the birds, but
And according to the Quran, if you actually break it down very carefully, I already showed you a passage where it says Jesus is God.
yeah, I think there's other verses you could actually
Yeah, there
cite too.
are. But now let
Yeah.
me show you something of why I showed you the verse I did show you.
I like the one with the
Let's go
atonement for the
to
sins, though. That's pretty good.
let's go to John 1:1, and you're going to find something very interesting in John 1:1. If you're reading John 1, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the God, and God was the Word." That's how it would be written if you're translating it literally word for word from Greek. Okay? And that's very important. Because what does the word Allah mean?
God, right?
The God.
The God.
Okay. Remember the word here that is in that verse that I gave you that has the word God that isn't Allah? It's Illah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go back to John 1:1. If that was written in Arabic and then into English, do you know what it would say? And actually the word with can also be translated near, which is very important because of the way the Quran uses the word near. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was near to Allah, and Illah was the Word. Did you catch it? Interesting, isn't it? How well that fits.
So it's saying that Jesus is the Word of God. Is that what you're saying?
There's another passage in the Quran which says that Mary was sent down. I'll actually get the verse. Let me go get that verse for you because this is amazing. First pronunciation. I can't spell for the life of me. Okay, pronunciation. In okay, I got it. Okay. I'm gonna give you this verse, and I'm actually getting this from answeringislam.org. You should know this website because it's actually meant to. This website does use it to oppose Islam. That's what it does. But there's something interesting here. Let me just go get the actual verse, the whole verse, because that way I don't. I'll just leave it as is and just read it from here. When the angel said, "Mary, God has chosen thee and purified thee, and has chosen thee above all women. Mary, be obedient to thy Lord, prostrating and bowing before him." Let's see. Let's see. Is that,
Where did Dan go?
and
Did I miss that?
1 second, I'm looking for it. Why is this so difficult to read? No, let me just get the actual verse so I can actually read it better. When this happens, where is it? Is that the right verse? I'm looking for the verse. No, that wasn't even the right verse. Where is it? Let me just do this word.
That's okay, Abel. I got to get going anyway and get my day
Okay.
started.
Let's see. Oh, here it is. I found it. And the angel said, Mary, God has given thee good tidings of a word from him, whose name is the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary. Uh-oh. Did you catch that?
Yep, I did. I got to get going, Abel.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for
See
the
ya.
chat. Thanks for the chat, Abel. Have a good day,
Okay.
eh? All right. Thanks, Abel.
Okay. See ya. Well, I'm just gonna continue reading this in case someone is watching. If they can't talk, that's fine. I do think I should at least finish what I was saying. So basically, this very passage confirms that the word from him or of him, depending on how you want to render this, is the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary. In fact, the word from him, if you look at the book of Revelations, you have a person whose name is the Word of God, clothed in red robes. Well, a white robe dripping with blood, basically, as a reference to Jesus Christ. The actual Word of God, according to the Quran, is Jesus Christ. The Word of God became the person known as Jesus Christ. For that to be true, that means, therefore, that Jesus must be, in some sense at least, connected with Allah. To some degree, they are one entity. Jesus being a emanation of Allah, a extension of Allah, according to the Quran. Oddly enough, the Quran does have contradicting versions of the Annunciation, however. But these contradictory statements might be best explained as a result of trying to fit in more information in a very awkward fashion, because it doesn't tell the whole story at just one point. It's like it doesn't give the whole Annunciation account, and thus it's incomplete, to say the least, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's overly complex and complicated. So I guess I'm gonna end it here now, because I have things to do anyway today. But I'll see you guys later, I think. maybe in a week or two, or whenever I'm feeling bored like this. So, I hope you all have a good day. And I guess that's it.